All right, Ronin man, got a big announcement. We're going to have the very first summit, MGTOW World Summit in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, January 10, 11, 12. So it's coming up in a few months. And this one's going to be a little different based on where we're going to be and kind of how the vibe is moving. So each one we've changed a lot of things, both topics, the vibe, the way it's organized, the way the guys get together. So let me tell you how it's going, right? This one is going to be, first thing is Melbourne's expensive, okay? So I didn't want to have an event where there was going to be a lot of money wasted on stupid things and given to SJW-backed type of companies, right? And so we came up with a solution. Now you're going to have options, whatever you want to do, but here's the options. And it's, of course, it's going to depend on how many guys come. But the very first guys that register will have an opportunity to stay at the event itself. So we have a large space, okay? One of the guys has opened up his space. I'm not going to say what type of space it is, but there's going to be room. Now, I'm not saying this is not luxury hand job here. This is going to be sleeping on the floor, whatever we can figure out. But there's going to be space where, if you want, you can sleep in the event itself with a bunch of other guys. And I'm going to be there. And the idea here is that I just can't stand when you go to an event and you have to rent a car, you have to rent a hotel. You end up spending there's all kinds of fees on the hotels, the taxes, and I don't know. Sometimes there's even resort fees and just extra 20-30% tips and all this crap. And what happens is you end up not supporting what you want to support. It goes to the general people who don't give a crap. And that's just not happening for me. That is not happening at all. So if you want to go, start planning now. This is the first time I've given you guys some pretty good space in front. So you guys got time to plan. There are cheap tickets. There's a cheap airline. I think it's called Jetstar that goes to Australia. You might want to, depends on where you are, obviously, in the world. But check out the smartest deals. If you want to go, okay, go ahead and add me on Telegram. Ronin Free is my ID. And we'll start to get you into the chat, and then we can start to give you details as things move along. Okay, so the topic is going to be a little different than before. And this is from things that we've learned and things that we're changing. We're constantly changing. So this one is going to be very fucking fun. We had a great time in Japan. It was absolutely, I got to tell you, the Japan one, you guys that were there, it was fucking awesome. I cannot even, I'm still kind of high off the Japan one. It was so great. And the level of fucking dudes that came, man. And the way everybody was helping each other out and doing stuff together and really changing lives. Because one of the things, man, is when you start to go your own way, it can get pretty lonely. There's not a lot of guys you can talk about. And we really saw that there is a huge, huge benefit for guys getting together and a need. So look, if you want to come, add me on Telegram. We'll start getting you on your way here. So you're going to have options. So obviously, if you want your own hotel room, we can give you location, nearby general location, and you can have your hotel room. You can come in. If you guys want to share a room, or you're looking for maybe get a something like that, happy to facilitate that. Anything that makes it easier, funner, better, and more options. That's the type of stuff that I want to facilitate, because I just can't stand rigid, expensive, stupid fucking events that generally most events are like, to be honest, in my experience. And I've been to a ton of events, so the topic is going to be a little different than last time. It's going to be much more towards having fun and friends and going deep in life, enjoying the shit out of life. Yeah, and so it's going to be run. A lot of the ideas are coming in from the Australian crew. We got a great shout out to the fucking boys there. We got everybody's already. We've been chatting for about a month now, and people are excited. So here's the basic structure. We're going to have one. There's a location you can come, you can sleep, you got no stress. You don't need to rent a hotel room, and of course you can come and then hang out with everybody. And then if you want to change and get your own place, you can do that too. So, a lot of options. So you don't have to stress about it. That's the other big issue. It's not like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Never been to Australia. So go ahead and register, and then you are good to go. So we'll get you in the mainline vein of information. And we're also looking for ideas from people too. So I know a lot of people are listening to all the videos and they got ideas about what is something that you want to talk about, something you think, the whole group can benefit from. I know there's a ton of very, very intelligent guys and that are listening. And so I want you to bring yourself here. You're not coming to study from just some expert. You're bringing yourself, and everybody has experiences that brought them here in the first place, right? And these are so valuable. One of the first summits we had, Ray shared his experience in divorce, and I mean, it was just epic. You never hear a story like that. Ray, shout out to Ray. Ray's been to a bunch of events. Big supporter. I really hope we can drag you in here. A couple other guys that came to the Japan one are coming, excited. One of the guys who did a lot of the fucking work, okay, to make sure that the event went well was Guy Seiji. Seiji's been to a couple of events, and he's coming to the Australia one. So let's make sure that Seiji gets the red carpet treatment, because he was there for you guys. So okay. So let's see. So 10th, 11th, 12th January. I'll have the link below to sign up. If not, don't worry. Just add me on Telegram, Ronin Free, and we'll figure that out. Let's see. What else here? What else is going to announce? This is going to be very, very Australian flavor. Okay. So I'm not in charge of that. That is the guys, the local boys are ready to rock on that. So I won't make too many announcements about that, other than I will say that we don't want, here's another thing I don't like about events. I really, really don't like, like I say, I really have an opinion on events. They're so lonely usually. You don't meet anybody, you just kind of stand around, some bullshit fucking, mixer the first night, and everybody's trying to put on their best. No, the guys at the summits is everybody's going out. A lot of the guys even got laid in Japan and had a great time. So there was guys going out, helping each other, like staying up late, sending pictures in the middle of the night. Everybody's like doing something fun and fucking it just went on. I mean, it just went on for a long time. So that's the other thing I will give you a kind of heads up there, is that the dudes, the bros that come, tend to be hanging out a lot. Okay, so people stay longer. So you don't have to come. Don't plan. It's like a cold, Friday, Saturday, Sunday done. There's going to be guys hanging out. Everybody wants to be here. Everybody wants to meet you. Everybody wants to fucking share. So, open to any ideas. A couple of guys have already volunteered all kinds of fucking awesome things. But here's the thing about the food. We don't want, what I was going to say just a minute ago was, I don't want everybody like getting in cars and everybody's going off and everybody's like, just wasting a bunch of money and everybody's separate, and then, let's get together. I got to be there at 2:00, that kind of thing. No, we're going to have a barbecue the whole time. So going to be food in the fridge. You're going to be able to cook whatever you want. So you can basically just make food as it goes. You can, we can have stuff in the fridge. Obviously the fridge is going to get full, so we'll have to figure out something. But all that can be, those are all logistics. We can definitely figure out something, and we will. So bunch of smart guys, we're going to have a way. But the basic concept is this: you're not going to have to run around. You're not going to have a car. You're not going to have a hotel, and you're not going to have to run around to restaurants. So there's going to be options to hang out, eat, whatever, do everything in the venue itself. So there you go. And it's going to be very Australian, okay? So the local boys are taking care of that. So it's not going to be, this is going to be, the goal is to have the fucking best men's event has ever been made in the history of fucking mankind. And the competition, believe it or not, is not that high. Because guys never fucking do shit together. And when they do stupid shit, trying to impress each other. There's just, men's events, sometimes when I see them, honestly, it's just a copy of a woman's event. This is going to be a bunch of dudes, and the beach is there. Melbourne's on the water, so there's like surfers. There's going to be, and just imagine whatever you can imagine. Local guys going to have some transportation to get around, so we will be able to get to different places. I'm going to go early. Okay, so that's my schedule. I'm going to be in Australia early. So I'll probably be a total of I'm going to buy my ticket today, but about a month. So the event ends on the 12th, and then I'll probably head out soon after that. So I'll be there before is kind of the plan. So there you go. Start adding me. We'll get information to you. And don't use email, because email is just too slow, too rigid. And also, I want to be able to send messages to everybody so everybody can see. And also, the other thing is you can contact anybody else in the group, right? We will have, as usual, a little bit of a screening process. I want to make sure everybody's good. There are people who have nefarious intentions, and we don't want, and we've very successfully avoided that. So I'm just going to keep doing that part there. Any topics you want to do, anything, questions, whatever, just put them in the chat box, right? Okay, so there we go. That is coming up, and it kind of brings me to a topic which let me tell you a little bit about something I did once, right? I heard about this tour company, name was the Green Tortoise, okay, in America. And there used to be a similar one in Australia called the Wayward Bus. And what they did with this fucking bus was great. And I went and took it, and it was awesome. They got a bus, okay, like an old school bus, tore out all the fucking seats, and they put beds in the bus. And you can still use Green Tortoise in America. But anyway, what they do is it's very simple. You sleep on the bus, and then you have all the food on the roof. It's kind of a hippie thing from the 60s, right? You have all the food on the roof. They got ladders. You crawl up there, and then everybody cooks food together. And then the bus drives around at night and just basically shows up at cool spots. So you don't have to have a big plan. You can just sleep on the bus. A lot of people get laid. People have fun on the bus. There's a lot of laughing. Music playing. People dance on the bus as we're driving through the desert and stuff like that. And there was one rule I really liked that they had. When you signed up for the event, you had to agree to the rules. And I was like, it was very cheap. It's very cheap, right? So one of the rules, which I loved, was I didn't think they would take it seriously. But the rule is that if anybody's a dick, they get kicked out. And that was a rule. I forgot the exact wording they used, but that was a rule in the rule book you had to sign. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I thought it was going to be fake, like most things in life, right? So we were driving through the desert, and we're playing. Somebody had a Nerf ball. Anybody does know it's like a softball, football thing. And everybody's throwing it around, and somebody the ball hit some guy in the side of the face. Okay, now he grabbed the ball, and he rolled down the window and threw it out of the bus. And now, of course, somebody didn't mean to hit him in the face. Of course, it was a mistake, right? They wasn't like somebody threw it at him trying to upset him. But anyway, he threw it out of the thing, and I remember like watching it bounce in the desert, So we stopped. The driver stopped the bus. He went back and got the football, brought it back in, and then he said to the guy, he said, "Hey, get your stuff, and we're going to drop you off here." And then he gave him a phone number to call for some taxi service or whatever. And the guy was like, he's like, "You're not serious." And he's like, "Yeah, did you see the rules?" Did you see the rules? And the guy like packed up his stuff, and then we left him at the side of the road, baking hot desert, with his fucking suitcase just standing there, and we drove away. And that was it. That was the rule, man. And because the guy, love this, man. I love this. The bus, like, all agreed, and as we drove away, the bus went crazy. We started cheering. Everybody started cheering and laughing, and it really brought everybody together, because we realized that we're all part of this. We're all responsible. You know, it's not like some like fake fucking SJW thing where everybody's unhappy, everybody's ignoring shit, everybody's not saying shit. No, that is not the vibe that is going on at all. Okay. And what we have is like a ton of guys, basically everybody trying to make it better. That's what's going on. And I can tell you that from experience from the other events. Everybody's like, I got an idea. Hey, let's try this. And then the guy's like, no, we did that before. You know, and the guy's like, oh, okay. You know, everybody's like listening and trying and bringing ideas and helping and, you know, talking and all that. And a lot of that's the general vibe. And inclusive, right? You know, inclusive. Because some guys have a lot of money. Okay, some guys come to this event. I'm telling you, some guys quite rich, and other guys, they're students, right? So there's all types of guys. So everybody's welcome. This is not some kind of, and I never want this event to be some kind of hand job thing for rich guys. That is not going to fucking happen. Okay, we're always going to have, from now on, this is my promise, we're always going to have ways that if you want to go, you can get there. Okay, so this is my best ideas at the moment, and we will keep improving this as we go along. And of course, it's going to depend on how big we get, and we'll have to find new solutions as we get bigger, right? And that's fine. There are always solutions, and there are always ways to do cool shit. Once you have the, what do you call it? Like the culture set of an event like this, it's like everybody just grooves on it, right? And it's kind of old school, right? You spend a lot of time with the guys. You're there. You see people. You actually know who they are. You know their personality, right? You can't hide shit when you're with a bunch of guys. You know, you can't, because they figure it out, right? And so that allows a guy to get to see himself a little bit too, right? Which is very, very good. Which is very, very good. Because this whole, I would say, I'm going to call it a community, but this community of guys that it's forming is, I know some guys don't like the word community, but there's no perfect fucking words, okay? Let's just use that as a word for right now. So this community of guys is dudes that can think deeply and can admit fault. I remember when one of my very first videos I made, some guy said something, and I commented below disagreeing with the guy. And he said, the comment was, I don't want to be too hard on the guy, but just example, it shows a point. He said, this is not MGTOW. You don't tell people they're wrong, right? Essentially, that's what he felt I was saying. Now, I was not actually saying he was wrong. I mean, I thought the concept was incorrect, and I gave him the reasons why. But I thought it was good because he was verbalizing something that we see too often in life, where nobody says anything. You know, nobody fucking says anything real anymore. You know, you see somebody going off a fucking cliff, and then you're like, hey, everybody has a right to their truth, right? It's like, well, yeah, of course, you know, and I think everybody agrees with that. But at the same time, hey, I think you're driving off a fucking cliff. You know what I mean? I see a cliff over there, and I don't want you to go off that. And, you know, do you understand a cliff? What happens when you know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to say, hey, you know, because sometimes, for whatever reason, a lot of times humans, okay, all of us, we have weaknesses. We have things we can't see. We have things we haven't experienced. And sometimes having somebody else tell us helps us to see it. And I don't mean that somebody really, really, truly doesn't understand what a fucking cliff is. Okay, everybody knows what a cliff is at some level. Okay, at some level. But usually there's some excuse. There's some, kind of jerry-rigged thinking that the guy's thinking, well, it's not going to somehow, he has some kind of like idea that somehow he's going to be okay, right? So also one of the key things is listening, really digging out what somebody's thinking, right? So when you tell a guy that, and when you get in and you take a risk to say something real in life, okay, That's when you get the chance of growth and deeper friendships. That's the spirit of this whole fucking thing. Okay? That's why we get together. We get together because no other channel does this. Okay? No other fucking channel. There's not one other MGTOW channel. Guys are actually getting together in real life. And I can tell you this, it's very tempting sometimes to write something that you don't really believe, to say something that it just makes you look good, this and that. When you actually meet somebody, when you actually meet people and you can interact and you're there and there's a bunch of other guys who are also on that same mindset, it is amazing what happens. It is absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you how amazing it is. I've seen already massive changes in guys' lives. I mean, like really massive. And I am not talking fucking small shit here. I'm talking shit that never gets solved, is getting solved, and on a regular basis. And happily solved. You know what I mean? Like fucking happily. A lot of times it's like that cliff. We know it's a cliff, but we can't. Somehow we need another deeper level or another way to explain it, right? And there's a little bit of all of this that I think a lot of guys don't get, and that is kindness. You know, it's easier to take advice if you believe the person cares about you and is kind. You know, like there's something to that. When you're dealing with deep shit, okay, this is not small. When you're dealing with deep stuff, okay, big mistakes you made, very painful things, you know, this type of stuff, it just doesn't, it's difficult to even listen if you feel like the person doesn't like you or hates you, is not trying to understand you, right? So it's a balance, right? It's a balance of truth. It's a balance of experience, wisdom, and also just pure human kindness, you know? And that spirit is in. So who comes to these events? All ages of guys. All ages of guys. I forgot which one it was. I think it's the third summit. One of the guys that came was, I don't know if he was in his 80s, but he was right up there. And I cannot tell you how cool it was to watch him. He woke up in the morning. He was waiting early for every meeting. And I even remember like one clear image I had of him. He was walking down the street to meet us. And we were all sitting in front of the 7-Eleven. We're having coffee in the morning. We kind of had this one meeting place we all hung out in. And he was walking down the street and he was bouncing. He was literally bouncing down the street, this guy. And all of us were just like, wow. Like, wow, you know, he was so excited. That was like the second day of the event. And that was just like, that was so cool. And you see, like, there's going to be guys anywhere. Just imagine anybody from 18 to 80. Okay. That's the age of dudes that come, and everybody has a different perspective and good shit to share. And I really mean that. Like, it is really cool to see. Peter's going to come from New Zealand. It is great to see. He's a very unique thinker, very unique mind. Watching him dissect things is something that, like, it's just so logical. You know, it's like it's very cool to see that, right? And then there's other guys that are completely different personality, right? Completely different. So lots of different dudes, lots of different ages, going to be options. Now, of course, it depends on how many guys come. If suddenly we get, like, say, 100 guys, 200 guys, we're going to have to quickly come up with solutions. So in that case, if there is a lot of guys that sign up, I'm going to start to, I'll have another video and we'll have an update. But for now, we're looking at a group of probably something around 20 guys. That's kind of my guess. Okay? But I would love to have more. Okay? We have plenty of room for more, but there'll be a limit. We get up to a certain amount, and then we'll have to think of larger venue. Right? And that's fine. We will solve that problem. So do not even fucking be ready to go. If you're grooving with this, sign up, and you will be part of the decision-making process too. So there we go. I hope I got everything there. Oh yeah. We've had some very deep, as you heard, we recorded some of the conversations. Now, some people didn't want their voice on there, so I edited them out. Okay, so just so you guys know that there's all kinds, you don't have to have your voice on anything. So a lot of guys like to be very stealth, and other guys really enjoy. Maybe they're like feel stealthy, but when they get involved, they realize that there's a lot of benefit to sharing with other guys because other guys are there to help, right? Other guys have ideas, right? And the better you can enunciate, the clearer you can enunciate the situation, how you feel about it, and the actual situation of whatever it is that you're thinking about, challenging. A lot of guys want to start businesses. We're going to talk about businesses, okay? We're going to talk about basically a couple of concepts I'm going to prepare. I've started a lot of businesses myself, okay? A lot of different kinds of businesses, different industries over the years, before technology and also after using technology as basically like instead of a bunch of employees. So I have a lot of experience. Many guys also do too. So one of the concepts, overarching concepts to anything I do, is the concept of being unblackmailable. And that is where you don't have to edit yourself. You don't have to live a shitty life. You don't have to do what you don't want to do. And you can start to grow into really the man that you really wanted to become. Okay? So it's not about living alone, living cheap, being away from everybody, but it's more about shedding off so many things that you thought you just took for granted. This is the way life is. You just have to do this shit, No, you don't. No, actually you don't. There's a lot of other options. And is learning those other options. And once you get down that road of rethinking the basics in life and you see other people, what happens is just that experience or that opening, taking away all this crap that's been holding you down. When you start to do that, what happens is the real you starts to come out. The things that you really like to do, the things you really want, okay? And that is a natural process. That is a natural process that happens. So in that is a lot of guys are doing stuff every day, okay? Spending every day 10 hours doing things that they really don't want to do. Maybe they thought it was going to be good, turned out not the way they wanted, and they're basically locked in. Or they feel they're locked in. So I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to start the next Google because you came to the summit. Okay, so just get your expectations correct here. We all have different skills. We all are in different areas. We have different industries that we work in. There's a million options. Obviously, we have different ability like tech knowledge and all that, right? But I'm going to go through a bunch of different businesses and a question and answer. This presentation could take 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like I'm serious. Like I have a lot of experience and I'm really happy to kind of go through whatever the fuck I need to do to give you an idea that can get you on a road to make a business or to go independent or whatever it is that you want to do with your life. And that's, like I said, it's very unique. So, but as unique as it is, listening to everybody else, hearing these ideas of what a business is really like inside, okay? And even if you have a business, even if you started several businesses, when you hear what it's really like inside of another business, you learn so much. In fact, the more experience you have in business, I think the more you appreciate the true stories of what it's like inside of another business, because you can start to picture it yourself too. And you're like, oh, I get it. Because a lot of times it's difficult to see something from the outside. So one of the worst things, and this would be my nightmare, is that you leave the matrix. Okay, let's just use this kind of metaphor. You leave the matrix, and then you start off on a new journey that ends up being worse. And that can definitely happen. You got to know that. You chose your life for a reason. You're an intelligent guy. You chose the things that you're doing right now for a reason. Even though now you might disagree, now things have changed, whatever, but there was aspects to it that made sense to you as an intelligent, logical man. And so when you let that go, okay, the tendency is to like turn your back and do something totally new and to, what do you call it, like not to value things in the past. And I want to really like let you know all very embarrassing things that I did, things that I experienced, where either I learned the same lesson over and over, or I didn't understand what I was giving up. Because sometimes there are aspects of a business, of a job, of things that you actually really do like, and they get lost when you're really frustrated, right? When you're in the overall experience is not what you want, and then it's easy to say, hey, I'm going to do something all new, and it's like, no way am I going to do that, Actually, it's more complicated. And making money, paying your bills, and having more freedom and doing new things is a wonderful, wonderful experience. And not every guy wants to do this, but a lot of guys who even don't want to do this still like to hear about it. And the reason is because they might want to in the future, or you might have something that you're doing and you might want to do a side gig, right? So this gives you ideas that you can start to research realistically, ideas that not only take your best skills and qualities and incorporate into whatever technology like situation that the world's in, right? As new opportunities come up with new technologies, but integrate that into something that even allows you, self-actualization, is that too deep? I think there's something to it. I really think there's something to it. And when you start to go down the road of doing what you want to do every day, or most days, and understanding and making friends of other people who are living good lives and doing what they want, what will happen is you will start to see that it actually becomes more clear how miserable most guys are. Like, it is really painful. Like, you almost get to the point, like for me, I almost like, oh, how could you do that to yourself? When I see some guys, the way they live, like the way they live with their wife, the way they live with their job, sometimes I just think like, man, I'm glad I got on this fucking road, because it's really like that scientific experiment, which was fucking evil, but it taught us a lot. Was they put the dogs into the cage and they shocked them, and the dogs, when they opened the cage, the dogs would just sit there. They were so used to being shocked that they would just sit there and defecate and wait for the shocks to be over, because they didn't know they could leave. And then new dogs, they'd put them in the cage with the door open and they would just run out. They're like, hey, fuck this, Whereas learned helplessness caused the dogs. Now, we do things and we learn things based on our experience. So that dog is not stupid. I'm not saying that. The door was closed. The dog had no way out. And the dog just learned that this was the best option, was just to relax, let the shock go through him, wait till it's over, go about his daily business. That was the dog's best decision when the door was locked. But when the door is open, you have new options. And that is part of this whole thing, is that door is starting to be open. And a lot of men are basically in a situation where it's learned helplessness. Just sitting there, the door is open, and we're sitting there shitting ourselves, being shocked, and using the tools of survival that we learned a long time ago. And then when we see ourselves, we feel even stupid, because we're like, how could I do that? I'll tell you how you could do that. You did that as the best option that you had at the time. So the only way the researchers could get the dogs that were trained to just take it, the only way they could get those dogs to change was by physically grabbing the dog and pulling it out of the open door several times. And then the dog finally was like, he would just, the dogs that were like learned helplessness, they would get up and leave when the shocks came. So the dogs had to learn. So part of my job is to grab you sometimes and pull you out of the fucking cage, get you out of the goddamn cage, and say, look, man, here you go. And like I said, very important is with love, really, with love, because we're all doing things. It's so complicated. We learn to do things certain ways in certain times of our lives for certain reasons. A lot of times those no longer apply. So the door is open, boys. The door is open. And it takes time to really recreate yourself. But I think personally, and that's why I really believe this, meeting other guys is one of the fundamental things that will help you. Other guys who are in the same vein, thinking the same way, planning things, sharing things, ideas. It's not about Ronin Man here. It's about everybody. The wisdom of the group is amazing. The experiences of the group are absolutely astounding. And so that is what's going on, boys. So if you can come, love to have you. It's going to be very reasonable. We'll have the link down below. And I don't know, getting from the airport, we're going to have to figure that out. Theoretically, I'd like to have somebody driving and picking people at the airport, because I hate fucking, like I said, I hate when you go to an event and you just waste a bunch of money on stupid shit. But I don't know how far we're going to be away. I know there's several airports in Melbourne. It's gonna thing. So, but just to let you know that I'm even thinking that small a thing. I want to make sure as many of those things as possible. I want to take them out, by the knees, so that we can make it fun, cheap, and you don't have to think too much. You can just go and you can just enjoy, and you can just add in your own experience for the other guys, right? So there you go. Summit's coming up. It's going to be great. There's a crew in Australia, and these guys are going to be in charge, going to make sure this has an Australian flavor. And I even told them, we were talking about it, the goal is to make this the best. Like, fuck the other summits. Australia summit is number fucking one. That's the goal. On top of everything else that we've been talking about. I've got a game. I shouldn't say that's too politically incorrect, but I've got a game that we're gonna play. It's a fucking fun fucking game out at the water, out in the ocean. If we can get in the ocean, I got a game that we made up as kids. Oh fuck, it's fucking fun. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. So having fun, you can get injured. I'm gonna warn you. All right, guys. All right. I'm going to do my yoga. I got a friend in town from Japan. Old friend, fucking great guy. Went out last night. One of the guys, you guys, anybody who went to the event here in Bangkok let's say about a year and a half ago, met Deepak. I saw Deepak the other day. He was looking fucking great. And we hung out. We went out and had pizza last night, and going to meet him up later. So anybody who's worried about Deepak is back. He's in fucking action, and it was very awesome to see him. It was total coincidence I met him last night, and ended up being like very deep, because I was also very worried about him. And fucking Deepak is doing great, and I'm going to meet him after yoga. So Deepak's doing good. My friend's in town from Japan. He's leaving probably later today to go surfing in Bali. So, all right, guys, there it is. Any questions? Feel free to put questions below the video in comments, right? And also, if you're going to come, don't add me on Telegram if you're not going to come. If you're going to come, then go ahead and add me on Telegram, Ronin Free, and then we'll start to get you into the thing. And like I said, there will be a screening process, okay? So expect that. All right, that's all I can say. That's all I got to say right now, and I hope you guys have a fucking great day.